You ever feel like your joy is slipping away? Like something inside just fades? After 70, many seniors quietly fall into emotional traps that drain their happiness without them even realizing it. Isolation, regret, fear of being a burden, and the belief that their time is past. These aren't just normal parts of aging, they're patterns that can steal your peace, your purpose, and your joy. In this video, we'll uncover these 4 hidden traps and show you how to break free so you can live with more connection, confidence, and contentment. If any of this sounds familiar, you're not alone. What's one thing that's been holding you back lately? Share in the comments below.
Have you ever felt like your energy is fading faster than it used to? Or maybe you've noticed that things that once brought you joy now feel like a chore. You're not alone. Many of us, as we pass the age of 70, start to experience emotional shifts that can quietly drain our happiness without us even realizing it. These are just normal parts of aging. They're emotional traps that can slowly pull us away from the life we love and the people we care about. But here's the good news. They can be recognized, understood, and most importantly, overcome. In this video, we'll explore 4 emotional traps that many seniors face after 70, traps that can unknowingly steal your joy, and how you can break free from them. Let's start with the first one, isolation. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that being alone means being independent. And yes, independence is important. But when we stop reaching out to others, whether it's family, friends, or community groups, we may not realize how much we're missing. Isolation isn't just loneliness. It can lead to sadness, confusion, and even health issues over time. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. I'm fine on my own. And maybe you are. But let me ask you this. Have you noticed any changes in your mood lately? Maybe you feel more tired than usual, or you don't enjoy activities as much as before. These could be signs that you need more connection. The key is to find balance. That doesn't mean you have to go out every day or attend large events. Even small interactions, like a phone call, a visit from a neighbor, or joining a local club, can make a big difference. The second trap is comparison. We live in a world full of images and stories that can make us feel like we're behind or not doing enough. This is especially true for seniors who may compare their current lives to past achievements or to what they see others doing. But here's the truth. Everyone has a different journey. What matters is your own story, not someone else's highlight reel. When we get caught up in comparing ourselves to others, we often end up feeling unfulfilled or regretful. Instead of looking outward, try looking inward. What brings you joy today? What makes you feel proud? Focus on celebrating your own wins, no matter how small. Whether it's reading a book, gardening, or simply enjoying a peaceful morning, those moments are real and meaningful. The third trap is letting go of old dreams. Some of you might be thinking, I was too young to dream back then. But that's not true. Dreams come at all ages. What happens, though, is that we sometimes put them aside because of responsibilities, setbacks, or fear. But just because you're older doesn't mean you can't learn something new, travel somewhere special, or take on a creative project. I met a woman last year who started painting in her late 70s. She had always loved art, but never thought she'd have the time or courage to try it. Now, her paintings hang in galleries across the country. Her story reminds me that it's never too late to follow your passion. So if there's something you've always wanted to do, don't wait. Take that first step, no matter how small it feels. Now that we've covered these 3 emotional traps, feeling isolated, comparing yourself to others, and letting go of your dreams, we can see how easily they can slip into our lives. But recognizing them is the first step towards breaking free. In the next part, we'll look at 2 more common emotional traps and how you can protect your joy and well-being as you continue to grow older.
The fourth and final emotional trap we'll be discussing is the fear of change. Now, I know that change can feel unsettling, especially as we get older. After decades of routines, relationships, and habits, it's natural to want things to stay the same.
But life doesn't always go according to plan. Health changes, family dynamics shift, and even our own interests evolve. And while these changes can bring uncertainty, they also open up new opportunities. The problem comes when we let fear hold us back from embracing what's next. Maybe you're afraid of moving into a new living situation if your health declines. Or perhaps you worry about not being able to keep up with technology or new ways of doing things. These fears are valid, but they don't have to control you. Let me share a story. One of my neighbors was in her early 70s when she had to move out of her home due to mobility issues. At first, she was devastated. She didn't want to leave the house where she'd raised her children and spent so many years. But instead of resisting the change, she decided to see it as a fresh start. She chose an apartment close to her daughter, joined a community center nearby, and even started learning how to use video calls to stay in touch with old friends. Today, she says she feels more connected than ever before. Change isn't easy, but it doesn't have to mean losing joy. It can mean gaining freedom, safety, and new connections. The key is to approach it with an open heart and a willingness to try something new. Now, let's take a step back and look at what we've covered so far. First, we talked about isolation, how staying too much to ourselves can lead to loneliness and sadness. Then we looked at comparison, how measuring our lives against others can rob us of happiness. Next, we discussed letting go of old dreams, how it's never too late to follow your passions. And finally, we touched on the fear of change, how staying stuck in the past can prevent us from enjoying the present and future. Each of these traps is subtle, yet powerful. They don't just appear overnight, they grow slowly over time, often without us even realizing it. But the good news is that once we become aware of them, we can begin to break free. And breaking free starts with small steps. Maybe it's reaching out to someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Maybe it's trying a new activity or hobby. Or maybe it's simply choosing to focus on the good in your day rather than the challenges. Whatever it is, every action counts. You deserve to live a life filled with joy, connection, and purpose, not just for yourself, but for those who love you too. Your experiences, your wisdom, and your presence matter more than you know. So don't let fear, loneliness, or regret take that away from you. As we continue in the next part, we'll explore practical strategies for overcoming each of these emotional traps. We'll talk about how to build meaningful connections, how to silence the voice of comparison, and how to embrace change without losing your sense of self. You'll walk away with tools you can use right now to protect your happiness and well-being. Until then, take a moment to reflect. Which of these traps do you recognize in your own life? What one small step could you take today to begin breaking free? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. We all face challenges as we age, but we also have the power to choose how we respond. Let's make sure we respond with courage, kindness, and hope. Here's to living fully, no matter what your age.
The next emotional trap we often fall into after 70 is the quiet but powerful belief that our time has passed. It's a subtle shift in thinking, something like, "I've done my part, now it's someone else's turn." This mindset can creep in when we start to feel less active, less needed, or less relevant in the world around us. But here's the truth: your time hasn't passed, it's just changing. You've lived through decades of history, built relationships that matter, and shaped the lives of others in ways you may not even realize. That doesn't stop at 70 or 80 or 90. In fact, it's in these later years that many people find new purpose, new joy, and even new dreams they never thought possible. Let me tell you about a man I met at a community center. He was 75 when he started volunteering with a local school, helping kids with reading and life skills. At first, he said he didn't think he had anything left to offer. But as the months went on, he found himself looking forward to each week. The children brought out something in him he hadn't felt in years: excitement, connection, and a sense of being useful again. Today, he still volunteers, and he says it gives him more energy than any morning walk or coffee ever could. That's what happens when we let go of the idea that we're past our prime. We open the door to new possibilities. Maybe it's mentoring a younger person, joining a cause you care about, or simply sharing your stories with family members who are eager to listen. These actions don't just help others, they help you feel seen, valued, and alive. Now, I know this kind of shift in thinking isn't always easy. It takes courage to believe in yourself when the world seems to be moving faster than you expected. But it starts with one simple step: recognizing that your voice still matters. Your experiences, your wisdom, and your presence have value, not because of how old you are, but because of the unique life you've lived. Another emotional trap that quietly saps our joy is overthinking the past. We all look back sometimes, especially when we reach this stage in life. Some memories bring comfort, others bring regret. And while reflection is natural, it becomes a trap when we spend too much time ruminating on what might have been instead of focusing on what is. It's easy to get stuck in thoughts like, if only I'd made different choices, or what if I'd tried harder? But dwelling too long in the past keeps us from enjoying the present and planning for the future. You can't change the past, but you can choose how you respond to it. One way to break free from this trap is to practice gratitude. Every day, take a few moments to notice the good things in your life. Not the big dramatic events, but the small everyday joys. A warm cup of tea, a phone call from a grandchild, the sound of birds outside your window. These moments remind us that life is still happening and it's still beautiful. You can also try journaling or talking with someone you trust about your feelings. Sometimes putting your thoughts into words helps you see them more clearly and release their hold on you. And remember, it's okay to forgive yourself for past mistakes. No one is perfect, and everyone has regrets. What matters is how you move forward. As we continue to explore these emotional traps, keep in mind that they aren't meant to control you. They're just patterns we've learned over time, habits of the heart and mind that can be changed. With awareness and intention, you can rewrite your story and reclaim your joy. In the final part of this video, we'll talk about how to create daily routines and habits that support emotional well-being. We'll look at practical steps you can take to build confidence, stay connected, and live with purpose. Because no matter where you are in life, it's never too late to begin again. Until then, I encourage you to reflect on the traps we've discussed so far. Which one do you feel most drawn to? What could you do today to take a small step toward freedom? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Remember, you are not alone in this journey. You've already come so far, and there's still so much ahead. Let's make sure we meet it with open hearts, strong minds, and a deep sense of self-worth. Here's to living fully, no matter your age.
The final emotional trap we want to talk about is the fear of being a burden. It's a quiet, often unspoken worry that many seniors carry with them. Am I too much for my family? Or do they wish I were more independent? This kind of thinking can lead us to withdraw, to say no when help is offered, and to hide our needs in order to protect others. But here's the truth: you are not a burden. You are a vital part of your family, your community, and your own life. And asking for help is not weakness, it's wisdom. No one should have to face life alone, especially when there are people who love and care for you. Let me share a story that might sound familiar. A woman in her late 70s once told me she stopped calling her daughter because she felt like she was always asking for something. whether it was help with groceries, transportation, or just someone to listen. She believed her daughter had enough on her plate without having to take care of her mother. But when she finally opened up and talked to her daughter, she learned something surprising. Her daughter said she missed hearing from her, that she wished her mother would ask for help more often, and that taking care of her made her feel connected in a way nothing else did. This kind of fear often comes from a place of love, not wanting to inconvenience others or be seen as helpless. But the reality is, when we push people away out of guilt, we lose the very support we need to live well and joyfully. Let go of the idea that you're a problem. Instead, see yourself as someone who deserves care, connection, and kindness. One practical step you can take is to start small conversations with those you trust. Ask how they're doing. Tell them you appreciate their time. And let them know when you need something, even if it's just a listening ear. These interactions build bridges instead of walls, and they remind everyone involved that relationships are two-way streets. Now, as we bring this discussion to a close, let's look back at all 4 emotional traps we've explored today. First, the trap of isolation, when we pull away from others, even when we need connection most. Second, the trap of comparison, when we measure our lives against others and forget to celebrate our own journey. Third, the trap of letting go of old dreams, when we believe it's too late to follow what sets our hearts alight. Fourth, the trap of fear, of change, of the past, of being a burden, and of losing our sense of purpose. Each of these traps has one thing in common. They keep us from living fully. They whisper lies into our ears, making us believe we're less than we are. But the good news is they can be broken. And you have the power to do it, one step at a time. So where do you begin? Start by choosing one area where you feel stuck. Maybe it's reaching out to someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Maybe it's trying something new that excites you. Or maybe it's simply allowing yourself to accept help when it's offered. Whatever it is, take that first step with courage and grace. You are not alone. You are not too old. You are not a burden. You are a person with a lifetime of stories, a heart full of love, and a future still waiting to unfold. And you deserve to walk through that future with joy, confidence, and peace. If you found this video helpful, please share it with someone who might benefit from it. And don't forget to leave a comment below telling me which trap resonated with you most and what you plan to do about it. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching. Here's to a life filled with connection, purpose, and happiness, no matter your age.
Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through 4 emotional traps that can quietly drain our joy after the age of 70. We've talked about how isolation can make us feel alone when we need connection most, how comparison can cloud our sense of self-worth, how letting go of old dreams can hold us back from new possibilities, and how fear of change, of being a burden, or of losing our purpose can keep us stuck in the past. But more importantly, we've also discovered how to break free. By reaching out, embracing change, staying true to our passions, and accepting the love and support we deserve, we open the door to a life that's still rich with meaning, joy, and connection. You don't have to face these challenges alone. Every step you take toward healing your heart and reclaiming your happiness is a victory worth celebrating. And I hope this video has given you the courage and clarity to move forward with confidence. If you found this conversation helpful, please consider sharing it with someone who might benefit from hearing it too. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button below. It helps me continue creating content just like this, content that speaks directly to your experiences, your needs, and your hopes for a happy, fulfilling life at any age. Your support means everything. Whether it's a like, a comment, or simply hitting that notification bell, it helps me bring more stories, more wisdom, and more encouragement right into your world. So thank you again for being here. Here's to living fully, loving deeply, and never giving up on the joy that still lives within you. Until next time, stay well, stay connected, and keep shining.